Hey folks, welcome to my computer build video. My name is Jim. I live in Delaware. I have been a computer hobbyist since 1985 when I built my first IBM XT clone, which was a whole whopping two 5 1/4 floppy drives, 640K of memory. It was an 8086 processor or an 8088. I honestly don't remember. But that's how far back I go. And I've been building computer systems pretty much ever since. So let's see, that's what, 35 next year, 36. So 35 years. I started out in the early 80s through about mid 90s as an electronics repair technician, doing component level repair on various types of electronics back when you could actually do that. I mean, the surface mount stuff these days is just it's a little bit beyond my capability at this point. I just had my 60th birthday last summer, so the eyes are getting old and the skills are not what they used to be. So, but fortunately, building computers is just a bit easier. So anyway, as I said, I've built computer systems since then many times over. I can't begin to think of how many. But let me tell you about what I got going on here, at least as far as the current project is concerned. What I've got here is a very old, and by old I mean it's about a decade old, Intel system. This was the last Intel system that I had built. I've built several more since then, but they've all been AMD systems. So, yeah, I kind of liked AMD for a while. They were the, price point leader, at least as far as, not as expensive as Intel. So that's part of the reason. But having recently in the last 18 months, 2 years, built 4 AMD systems, all running nicely without any problems, uh, with the exception of the A320 board. That I wound up having an issue with, which wound up being a memory compatibility problem with the motherboard and the RAM. But swapped out it with PNY memory, if I remember correctly, and it's been fine ever since. So that was a minor glitch, but the other three systems, never an issue. They're all running off of ASRock B460 motherboards, and whatever memory I decide to put in any of the systems, that works just fine. So that's over and done. But getting back to this, I have not built an Intel system, as I said, since this one. So we're talking about a decade. So now what I want to do is I want to take this case, which is still very usable, has some interesting features that I like about the case, which is why it's been around for a while. I'm going to reuse the case. I'm going to reuse the DVD drive that's in it because the DVD drive is probably under 5 years old, so it's probably fine. I've already got a power supply in here. I don't know if I'm going to change this out or not. At the moment, it's a Cooler Master 500-watt power supply, and I know that probably some people are cringing right now about Cooler Master, but hey, I've had good success with them. Not been a problem for me. I've had various power supplies fail. I've had Cooler Master ones fail. I've had knockoff brands fail. I've had knockoff brands that were running just fine, but they were so old from the systems that they were in that I replaced them when I built another system because of things like the power supply was so old that it didn't have any SATA power connectors. It just had the Molex stuff. So as things went, you replace those things. But in any case, this particular box has got some nice features in it. It's a toolless design for the external 5 1/4 base. It's toolless with as far as the internal 3.5-inch base, and it's actually toolless for the expansion slots. There's these little retainer levers that you pop them and you slide it up, put your card in, slide it back down, and then just pop it right back. And it goes right back in, assuming that I don't move this. I don't move the slot. There we go, got it. So I just happened to pick the one that had a slot that was reused. But anyway, the system motherboard, some super micro motherboard, as I said, from 10 years ago. It does have 4 memory slots, but the memory slots can only handle DDR3 and only 2 gigabyte per slot module. So it's already got 8 gig. It's not going any further, and at this point, that's dated. Baseline system that I would build at this point has a minimum of 16 gigabytes. If it's going to be something a little bit more, maybe a gaming machine, probably 32 gigabytes. It would probably be what I'm looking for at this point for that. But anyway, it's a Core 2 Duo. I want to say either an E6500 or an E8500. Don't remember. Honestly, it's been that long. I honestly don't remember what the CPU that's in here. The graphics card is a 1 gigabyte, which was a big deal at the time. 1 gigabyte GT430. It's not even a GTX series. It's a GT430. So that's pretty old. So basically, the guts are going away, and we're going to put new guts into it. The new guts will be a Gen 10th generation i5, and a nice new motherboard with USB 3 headers and so forth. The one thing about this case that's kind of a negative, if you will, is that the USB ports that are up here on the top are only USB 2s. So you're like, well, if there's no USB 3, why are you even bothering using the case? Well, here's the deal. For about $13, I think it is, you can go on Amazon and you can get one of these guys. And this here is, there we go, boom to boom. It might focus, it might not, I don't know, probably not. In any case, yeah, it's probably so close to the camera to actually focus. So that's a 3.5-inch panel, 2 USB 3 ports on it. And this case has 2 places here where you can put this in. So there'll be USB 3 here, USB 2 on the top. The case itself has got a nice mesh front on it, which is very nice. Standard 120 millimeter fan with a removable and washable filter. On the bottom of the case, which you're probably not going to be able to see, but I'll just tell you, has a removable and washable filter for the power supply. So pulls in air from the bottom, out for the power supply. The top of the case, in case you noticed, it has a nice spot here for a 120 millimeter or 140 millimeter fan. So you got that going on. It does have the standard 120 in the front, 120 here in the back here. And the side panel, which although it doesn't have a window, which I don't really care for anyway, quite frankly, it annoys me when you go looking for computer cases and you specify that it doesn't have a window. The number of cases that's available to you drops by somewhere in the neighborhood of 60%, or even sometimes more, just the sheer number of cases that you have to choose from. And that seems to be consistent as to whether it's an ATX case, a micro XTA case. The mini ITXs, I don't know. I've never really done an ITX build. But this side panel here has got 2 spots for 2 more fans. So there's a lot of airflow potential in this case if I ever decide that I'm going to make it a gaming machine. It's not initially going to be a gaming machine. It's basically going to be a kind of a, I don't know how to describe it, a test machine, if you will, or kind of a spare machine to do other projects maybe. Probably do some video editing with it. Might do some live streaming, I don't know. Probably not though. I don't see the point in it. But you could easily turn it into a gaming system. You add a graphics card to it. You probably have to swap out the power supply at that point because 500 watts, depending on which card you get, is not going to be enough. So you'd have to swap that out. But as far as like a long-term home machine, office machine, this should be fine. An i5 should be just absolutely fine. 10th gen, probably get 5-6 years out of it without too much trouble. So that's the story with what I'm going to attempt to do here. So as I said, most of what's in here is going to go away. There's a 320 gig mechanical hard drive that's going away. I'll have to wipe that. And let's see, I think oh yeah, there is a Wi-Fi card in here, but the Wi-Fi card is also very dated. It's probably 6-7 years old, so that's going to go away. But we're going to gut this thing, and we're going to put in a 10th gen system. What are we going to be using? Okay, what we're going to be using is an ASRock B460 Pro4, standard ATX motherboard. I'm going to be using, as I said, an i5. It's going to be a 10400 with built-in graphics. I'm going to be using an XPG SX 8200, yes, 8200 NVMe drive, 500 gig, which should be more than sufficient for what I plan to do with the machine. And I have some leftover RAM from various upgrades I've done to the AMD systems. I upgraded my gaming machine from 16 to 32 gig, so I've got at least one 16-bit kit that's going to go in. I also swapped out my wife's memory for higher speed memory. So I wound up with actually 4 identical sticks, all team group sticks, 2400 speed memory, so not terribly speedy, but 2400, 4 sticks, 8 gigs, so there'll be 32 in the machine. That should be more than sufficient, even if I decide to make a second gaming machine or upgrade it to a gaming machine. So here's what we're going to do. I've only got the webcam here that I'm talking to you with. I have to take it off the stand that it's on. I'm going to put it above the test bench. I got something a little jury rigged up that I can put it on a test bench. We're going to do a tear down on this. I'll clean it out. I'll clean the dust out of the case at some point, probably off camera, but we're going to tear all this out. We're going to set the case aside. Then I'm going to take the motherboard, the CPU, the RAM, the NVMe drive, and a spare power supply I have, and I'm just going to put it here on the bench, and I'm going to set it up. I'm not going to mount everything in the case right away. I'm just going to set it all up, put everything together, make sure that the system does post. After we verify that it will post, then we'll put the motherboard in, tie it down. At that point, I will do a Windows 10, probably Pro installation. I will run Crystal Disk Mark to make sure that the drive is doing what it's supposed to do, and run Prime 95 just to see if the stock cooler that comes with the i5 is sufficient enough for, again, what I plan on doing, which isn't a lot. I'm not going to be pushing it. I'm not going to be overclocking it. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. It's the system that I'm putting together is for stability. It's not for screwing around with overclocking stuff. I'm just not into that. But that's where we're planning on going. I don't anticipate any problems. But hey, it's Murphy. You never know when he's going to show up. So we'll go with that and see what happens. Anyway, stick around. I will be back once I get the camera set up above the bench, and we'll do the teardown and proceed from there. Hopefully this shouldn't be any problem. This should go smooth as butter. See you in a bit. All right, we are ready to disassemble. Small update. I am actually going to have to replace the Cooler Master 500 watt power supply. I powered up the system off camera just to see, what its status was, what version of Windows it was, etc., etc. And the system started power cycling. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not good. Fortunately for me, I have a spare power supply. It was the power supply I was going to use to initially build the new components on the bench, but apparently it's going to go into this case. So I'm going to be putting in a Thermaltake Smart 500. I believe this is an 80 plus power supply, if memory serves correctly. Yes, it's 80 plus Smart 500 watt. So that's going to go in here instead. So power supply's coming out. Wasn't exactly on my plan, but hey, I did say something about Murphy, didn't I? Pretty sure I did. Okay, anyway, let's get started. Let's start taking out some of this stuff. I'm going to get the video card out first. That will pop out of here. Gotta get the little release at the back. Get that up first. There we go. All right, so that's out of there. Okay, next. Next, I want to take the 24 pin off. There we go. Take the CPU power, which was actually two 4 pins. So that's coming out. Got to get the Wi-Fi card out. There we go. Because that's holding back the CPU power, which was running underneath that card. So that's out. All right, so we got that. We got that. Let's get the hard drive out. That little, love these things, the way these things come out. All right, so we're going to pull that out. Pull that out. So that's out of the way. I got to take this back cover off, or the other side panel off, so I can get at the wiring. So fortunately, it comes off with thumb screws. So we're going to take that one out. And we're going to take this one out. Alrighty, I'm going to lift slightly here. Alright, put that aside. Alright, so there we go. That's there. That shouldn't have any problem. Let's get the power supply out and take my, it's a wired screwdriver, but it is an electric screwdriver. And we're going to just, yep, it's in there a little too tight. I'm going to have to use the manual. Alright, so we'll take the manual and do it. Okay. Alright. Take that one. 4 screws. Boy, I tightened them down pretty good. There we go. Alrighty. It's 2. Three. And 4. There we go. Okay. That's out. Of course, you drop the screw. I always have to drop a screw. But it happens. Okay, so let's see. 24 pin CPU power. Pull this guy here out of there. And there we go. That out of the way. That's out of the way. That's out of the way. And one finicky, weird power supply out. So that goes away. All right. Next, we're going to take all of the connectors off. That's front panel audio here. This is USB 2 here. These are SATA connectors. One was going to the DVD drive, which it still is. So we're going to kind of set that aside for the moment. We've got USB and there we go. USB and audio out there. Actually, I'm going to just take that off for now. Get that out of the way. This, excuse me, USB connector went to the hard drive, so that's going to go away. There we go. We got that guy out of there. All right, so what do we got left? We got the rear case fan. That can go out there. We got all the front panel connectors. That's all going to go away. We've got front fan. That's going to go away. So that should be it. You'll notice with this board, I'm going to try to bring this down a little bit, give you an idea of the age of this board. Let's see if I can do this. All right, there we go. That's a little better. This board is kind of a transition board, if you will. It did have SATA, although I think they're SATA 2s, if I remember correctly. This, parallel, ATA connector, IDE, that's how old it is. Floppy connector, still have one of them. A COM port connector and the printer connector. So, just shows you the age of the thing, if you will. So, anyway, let's put that right back up there for just a little bit. Having a little trouble getting the camera to sit where I want it to, but There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do next, we are going to take out all the screws of the board. Sorry about the jumpiness there. And get this sucker out of here. And this is a full-size ATX board. It has a total of 9 screws that have to come out. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they're going to come out. Alright. Take them out by hand just because mine as well. Alrighty. There we go. Alright. Okay. 5 down, 4 to go. There's another one here. Okay. Alright. We're getting there. Lots of screws, but we're getting there. And the new board is going to have the same thing. It's going to have 9 screws that have to go back into it. Now let's see if I can get, there we are. A little tough to get at these last two here. So we've got the one here. Okay. And the last one way up here in the corner. Good thing I took that power connector out of there, because otherwise I would never get to this. It's down here. Yeah, that's really close to that connector, as you can probably see right there. And that should take care of that. All right, there we go. All right, so all the screws out. Get these cables sort of out of the way as much as I can. All right, now let's see what else we got going on here now. Okay, so all the screws are out. This board should just lift right out. Yep, there we go, just like that. So there you go, folks. Never to be seen again. This is going to wind up going to electronic recycling. The Super Micro C2 SEA board. I mean, there's really nothing wrong other than the fact that the technology is outdated. You've got SATA 2. There's obviously no place here for an NVMe drive. That's just way before that time. Had a decent audio chip on it, as you can see from all the connectors that are here. Decent amount of USB on it. And this could, all by itself, without a graphics card, drive a standard VGA monitor and HDMI. So, wasn't bad for its time, but it's over with. It's done. And goodbye, old friend, as it were. All right, so we basically now have an empty chassis that we have to fill in some new stuff. I gotta get some covers for these here to cut off these holes here. Oh, yep, gotta get the old IO shield out. So there we go, all done. That's it. So now I'm going to be putting together the new system on the bench here. Just put the box aside and put together the new components, and we'll go from there. So see you in just a bit. Okay, folks, we're in the final stretches here. As you can see, we've got all of the components that we're going to need to do this. We're going to do this on the bench, obviously, before we put it in the case. As promised, ASRock B460 Pro4, an i5-10400, as promised, and an XPG SX8200. 512, I thought it was a 500, but it's a 512. That's perfectly fine, nothing wrong there. And I've got what really are two 16 gigabyte kits, but this is what we're going to be putting into this thing. And I can see if I can get it to, yeah, I don't think I can get it to focus on this. Nah, it's a little too close. It won't focus. All right, anyway, two 16-bit kits, 16 gigabyte kits, excuse me, for a total of 32. So put some of this stuff aside for the moment. We're going to get this motherboard out of here. All right, let's see what we got here. The usual, the manual, SATA cables, IO shield, which we will need. Let's see, those guys over there. Ah, yes, the NVMe screw. We will definitely need that little guy. Okay, what else is under here? Oh, actually, we got a couple of. Let's see, we've got an extra standoff for the NVMe. Yeah. Oh, two other NVMe screws. I believe I have to double check here. Let me just pull this out of here. And very quickly, just double check. Yep, one M2, M.2 slot. There's another one, I think that's, yeah, there's another one that's under here. It gave me 3 screws. You would almost think that there are 3 slots in here. I don't think there are. I think that's only 2. So that looks like that's probably okay. All right, let me get the box out of the way. And let me grab my little cushion here that set aside for this. And let's have a look-see. All right, there you go. Yep, make sure I grab the anti-static pad on the back. Okay, that's good. All right, so let's just double check what we got. Let's see. Okay. Yep, the one M2 there. That's probably. Oh no, there. It has the M2 for Wi-Fi. That's why it has 3 screws. Okay, that's just real quick here. There it is. That's the Wi-Fi. So you can put nice Wi-Fi on here. So that means that there's an M2 slot under here, an M2 slot here, and the Wi-Fi. So there we go. That's not bad. I like that. Not bad at all. Basic audio, nothing really special. We've got USB 3, I think it's 3.1 that's on this board. I don't really remember off the top of my head. I can double check the box. I'm sure the box will tell me. Let's see what we got here. USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A and Type C. That's what that's for. Okay. Alrighty. USB 3.2 Gen 1. Okay, so this has got a number of USB ports on it. And okay, there's an antenna bracket, a couple of USB 2s. Alrighty, so not too bad. Not too bad at all. Okay, so where do we want to start? Well, probably want to start with the CPU would be my best guess. So let me grab my little Swiss Army knife. For those of you who looked at the Verge video a couple years ago, you're being triggered right now. But we're going to just slice that bad boy open. There we go. Try not to be too triggered, folks. All right, let's see if we can get this out of here. There we go. Come on, get out of there. There we go. Okay. All right, so there's our chip. There's our little sticker. If we want to put the sticker on the case, there's our little sticker. There we are. And there's the chip. There we go, i5. There we go, good. And let's see here. Try to remember if this, here we go. Out like this, out like that. There we go. Pre-applied thermal paste on it, so we won't have to do anything about that. Just grab this real quick and kind of set it like that for the moment. And now I got to get at the chip. Don't remember exactly how these come apart. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done an i5. Oh, okay, it just slides right out. All right, so it just slides right out. Okay, so there we go. There's our chip. Want to make sure that you don't touch any of those pins with your fingers. Try to keep them contamination free. Let's see here. How does that? Oh, okay. Okay, just like that. There we go. So just like that. All right. So we're gonna undo this little lever here, pull this up, and bow that back. There's our little socket. Move this a little bit here. See if I can get a better shot at this. And bring that down. I think that's about as close as I want to try to get. There we go. Boom. She just popped into focus. All right. So real easy to do the chip. It's only going to go in one way. And a good question as to which way that is. Hang on. I'm trying to grab this by the edges again. You don't want to get anything on those. You don't want anything on these pins. So let's see. Line up, line up, line up. It's probably only going to go in one way. Not sure if I have that right or not. Yeah, it looks like it's right. Yep, I got the 2 notches. There's 2 notches here that line up, so that's good. All right, so the only thing that we do now at this point is to put that down, pull this lever down, and that little plastic piece, there we go, just pops off. Boom, done. You're there. So that's in, no problem. Okay, let's see what we want to do next. Let me just lift this up a little bit, please. There we go. Come on, that's it, just a little bit. All right, I think I'll do the memory now. Yeah, let's do the memory. All right, so you might be able to see it. Maybe it'll focus this time. I don't know. It probably won't. No, it's not going to focus. But in any case, you can probably, okay, that's not too bad. You can see it's a C16. It's part of a 16 gigabit kit, 8 gigabyte DDR4 2400. So we're going to line this up, put these, get the little levers off. The other side, they're all stationary. So you undo these here. Make sure that you line up the memory. There's a notch here that you want to make sure you line up. You just want to put it in like that. 2 clicks, it's in. And we'll just go ahead and do all the others. There we go. That's good. Okay. Now, my fingers are not actually touching the bottom of the board. I still have the anti-static pad underneath here. So I'm just grabbing it and kind of grabbing it and squeezing it. So that's there. Okay, so the memory's in. No problem. Now, let's see. I guess we'll do the cooler. Yeah, I guess we'll do the cooler now. Let me get this lifted up just a little bit here. There we go. That's a little better. Like I said, it's got pre-applied paste on it, no problem. And just gonna make sure we get this connector out of here. They got it kind of, there we go. Sorry about that. Hit the camera. Okay, so in any case, let's get this here. I want to double check and see where the CPU fan is. Ah, okay, there it is. Probably can't see it too well, but the CPU fan connector is right here. Right there. So that's where we're going to wind up plugging in. Now, the cooler is meant to basically snap in. So what we're going to do here is, I think I want to try and orient this so that it's, move this over just a bit. Now it's going to look upside down to you, but when we get this on and it's when we reorient the board in the case and we look at it from the case style or the case direction, it'll look correct. So let me get these wires out of the way. There we go. I will wire tie this a little bit later on, but basically it goes on like so. And then again, I'm just going to kind of grab here, and I'm just going to grab over here, and I'm going to try and just, there we go, down. And those two down. So there we go. So CPU cooler is installed. Now I will plug this in for now. We'll tidy this up a little bit later on. I'm not going to do it right at this second. I'll tidy it up before I put it in the case. But okay, that's plugged in. And what I'll do is, it'll just be a little, actually, you know what? I think I might as well do it right now while I got it here. Let me just double check and make sure that, yeah, that's not going to be too good. Try to find a way to orient it so that, oh, okay, so if I do it that way, okay, so if I do it that way, yeah, I can tuck it underneath that just to make sure that it doesn't hit anything. Alrighty, so let's get a small little nylon zip tie, and let's get this tied off for the moment. I'm going to leave it loose for right now. I'll tighten it up in a little bit. I just want to put that in there so that will, that's the phone. Don't need that interruption. Okay, so just loosely going to put this in here for right now. Kind of tuck it there so that it's out of the way. Because I want to finish up doing the rest of this. And the camera is not focusing for some reason. I don't know why. It doesn't seem to want to. Come on, focus. There we go. All right, it went back. There we go. So anyway, like I said, I'm just tucking this under here for the moment, just to kind of keep it out of the way. The zip tie is not tight yet, so I'll get to that in a little bit. All right, now the question is, at least as far as the manual is concerned, which I do consult the manual occasionally. Some people don't because they've been doing this a lot more often than I do. I don't do this for a living, but if memory serves correctly, I think we want to be in this slot here for the M.2 drive. Let me just double check. Yes, that's the, yes, according to the manual here, and you might be able to see it. That slot is the M2-1, and the one that's underneath that heatsink is M2-2. So we're going to be winding up going into here. Okay, so let's get our XPG SX8200 Pro. Let's, once again, I'm triggering people right now. They see this, they're going to be triggered, especially if they remember the Verge PC building video. They are absolutely going to go out of their minds watching me do this. Okay, so let me get that there. It comes with this little heat sink, which I debate whether or not I actually want to put it on or not. I may, but it has this little heat sink here. Sorry about that. I keep forgetting where the actual camera is. I debate whether or not I want to actually use that or not. Let's get the drive out. There we go. Again, you want to try to hold this stuff by the edge. And this, okay, here we go. Let me just double check while I've got it here, whether or not this, yes, the standoff I think is in the right, yes it is. The standoff's already in the right spot, so I don't have to touch it. That makes me happy. All right, well, I guess what I might as well do, since I've got it, it's here. And I'm just going to peel this off of here. And I'm going to do my best to align this. You know, some people will probably say, well, you probably want to put the heatsink on after it's in. Well, yeah, that may be true, but for the sake of the way I want to do this, you're just going to put that in there. So that's all set. Let me just real quick make sure I get that off of there. So, all right, as far as this is concerned, this what we refer to as a stick of gum at this point. Basically, this is just going to go in on the angle here, and we're going to see if I can get a better shot of that. That's a little bit better. Okay, so we're basically going to line it up with the notch. I've got it up at an angle. We're going to just push it in, and I'm going to grab one of the M.2 screws that ASRock gives us, and I'm going to be using my Swiss Army knife again because it happens to have comes with this nice little piece here that has two different size Phillip heads on it. So the one is very small and it should fit this without any problem. It's also magnetized, at least it was. Oh, maybe not anymore. Okay, so it's not magnetized anymore, it looks like. I thought it was. Either that or the screw itself is just... Okay, there we go. All right, so put that down. And very carefully, sorry about bumping the camera, get that down. And I don't want to go too tight on it. I just want to kind of like 2 fingers and just make sure that it's there. Okay, so it's there. All right, so that's basically it as far as that's concerned. So the CPU's been installed. The cooler's been installed. There we go. The NVMe drive is installed. So we're good. Now I'm going to rotate this board. Let's see. For sake of, actually no, I'm not going to rotate. I'm just going to leave this right here. I'm going to take the anti-static mat off for the moment and just put it on here. And I'm going to get my power supply, which I have here, off to the side. You're not going to be seeing it here. So we're going to take our 24-pin. Alrighty, give me a second here. Get all this stuff out of the way. There we go. Alright, right here is our 24-pin. I'm going to take this power supply and the connector has got the clip here, which goes on the outside. So that's going to go in. There we go, like so. Okay, that's clipped in. We've got the CPU power, which is over here. Move this over a little bit. There's our CPU power there, which, find the right cable. That's not it. Where are you? There you are. Okay. All right, so our 8-pin power for CPU. Again, there's a lip here, which these clips go onto, so we're going to just put that, there we go, that's in. All right, so we've got these two in, and that's really all you need necessarily for the to do at least the first post test. I've got a monitor here that I'm going to plug into the, let me get this up and try to get you a better angle going on here. Okay. Let's see if we can get you a better angle here. All right, so we've got those two plugged in. I'm going to plug into the, move this over just here a little bit. There we go. I'm going to plug into the, can't see it yet. Move this up. There we go. There's the VGA connector. We're just going to plug this in. Okay. Power supply is here. Make sure that power supply is in the off position. It is in the off position. Plug in the power cable. And that's okay, that goes in. Okay, so that's in. All right, so I've got this all set. CPU power, 24 pin. Oh, I will need to power this on, and I think, yeah, it's going to be a situation where I'm just going to take a screwdriver and short the pin for the power and the the power button to get it to come on. So let me, again, that's just different angle. There we go. Okay, so, all right, let me get that in there. There we go. All right, so I'm going to turn the power switch on. Okay, so far so good. No reaction. I don't want a reaction actually at this point. All right, now, let's see. I'm going to try and short pins over here for the power button, which I believe the power button is here. There it goes. Okay, so I guessed right, which doesn't always happen. And now we're going to just see if we can get a post on it. At the moment, there we go. I think I saw one of the LEDs go out. I'm not sure. There we go. I got something. There's some sort of signal. Now it's not going to be able to boot to anything. Oh, there we go. So there we are. There we are. We are at the post screen. So we're good. We're absolutely good. Now I'm going to take my little keyboard and mouse here. I got these guys right here. On Amazon, it was $26, $27. It's a single dongle for mouse and keyboard. And I'm just going to plug that into any one of the ports back here, probably the USB 2 ports for now. I'm just going to plug that in, and I'm going to turn on the mouse. Hopefully that will work here. Yes, it does. Okay, good. So we've got, there it is. We got the i5-10400. There's our team group, 8 gigabytes, 2400 speed. CPU fan running at the moment, temperature 26.5 degrees Celsius, motherboard temperature 21C. Okay, so let me just see if I can find in here. Let's try the advanced mode. And there we go. I'm curious to see what version of UEFI version. It says P1.1. I think that is probably not, that's not current. I'm going to have to double check that. I don't think that's current. But in any case, I can do this in a little bit. So we're good here. 32 gig memory, no problem. Dual channel memory mode. Everything is here. So we're good. So we've got a post on it. So all I'm going to do at this point now is I'm just going to turn the power supply off. And let's see, actually I'm going to double check a couple of little things here real quick. Tool, yeah. Instant flash. Yeah, I downloaded, I think, what is the latest BIOS for this board, and I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do that after I put this in the case. I wanted to make sure that the thing would post. And the other thing I want to take a look at, and go back to easy mode. Let's just see if it says, yes, there it is. Storage configuration, M.2 underscore 1 A data SX 8200. So that's there. Everybody's recognized, all the hardware is good. So, okay. All right, well, I'm going to get the case back up on the bench. I'm going to turn this off for right now. That's going to go dark. There we go. I'm going to turn all this off for now. And what I'm going to do is when I come back, I'm going to have the case up here. I'm going to put in the dual port USB 3 panel. I will mount the motherboard at that point and double check, make sure I have the latest BIOS update for it. Then we're going to do the Windows 10 Pro install. Then we'll do whatever updates are necessary from there. So I'll be back in a little while, folks. We'll see you then. And next stop, the chassis. Okay, folks, here we are. We got the chassis set to go here. A couple of things I want to do first. I want to get these little guys here in here to cover up these now empty slots. So we're just going to pop that in there, get that in there, and line that up. There we go. That one's locked down. This one over here. Okay. Locked down. There we go. All right, so we're good. Okay. Next, I think what I want to do is I want to put the power supply in. I took the liberty of routing some of the cables already behind the motherboard tray. The audio is going down through here. The USB and the front panel are going down through here. They come up right here, and they are just long enough that they'll reach. I checked this before I started doing the recording. The audio and USB will just fit where they have to go. It'll be a little bit tight, but it'll be okay. I just did a quick test of it. All right, so we got that. All right, so I want to get the power supply in next, and the reason I want to get the power supply in next is you'll notice this back. You notice this thing right here. This looks like it's supposed to be a mounting place for a fan. I don't know why you would do that, because there's not enough room behind here to put a fan anywhere. So I'm not sure exactly why that's there. But what I did discover was that it's a perfect place, because you'll notice there's no holes up here, and what this cable here is going through is very, very small. I barely got the connector through. What it wound up being is that if I go behind here and if I come up through here, let the CPU power cable sit up here, then I put the board on, it'll plug right in without any problem, and we should be good to go. So let me do the power supply next. Okay. Let's see here. Let's do that first. And that way, I think I can scoot the HD audio cable right underneath the power supply, right along here, and it'll go right into the board there without any problem. So let's do that and see what we got. Okay. All right. I'm just going to loosely put these screws in. Sorry that you really can't see it that well, but you know, again, I've only got the one camera, and there's only so many ways I can get it to hook up. Otherwise, you know, I'd be here 4 days just moving camera angles around and whatnot. So we're not going there. Okay, so let's get these tightened down. There we go. Right there. And this one here. And so, as I mentioned before, I was going to stay with the Cooler Master Supply, but it apparently had a problem. So we're going to go with the thermal take here. And just make sure that Everybody's tight. There we go. Okay, so we're good there. All right, so CPU power, as I mentioned, I found out that it will actually go, if I lift this up, it'll go right under here. In fact, I'm just going to move this around and come up right through here, like so. There we go. Just got to move cables around, try to get things out of the way. Alrighty. So, there we go. So I've got my CPU power. Move this over here. Now sticking up here without any problem. We're good to go. I actually thought that this chassis did not, this case did not have much in the way of cable management, but it actually does. It's rudimentary cable management in that it does have cutouts here that have, they're kind of like stamped out U channel or whatever. That's just enough to get USB 2 connector through, to get the HD audio connectors through. It's not enough room to stick something this big up into that area. So that wasn't going to happen. Okay, so we've got that set up there. Our 24 pin is here. The rest of these cables we'll have to kind of put out of the way, and we'll tidy them up a little bit later on. All right, so the 24 pin is going to go here. There's no other place I really can do. There's nothing that will let me go underneath the tray and then bring it up here. You'll notice there's literally nothing here. So this cable, probably there's a couple of spots here where I can zip tie it down. So I may just, once it's in there, I'll zip tie it and, in like that, and I'll just do it like that. This case is old enough that cable management was kind of an afterthought more than anything else. Okay, so I've got that, that's out of the way. All right, next thing I got to do is I got to do the I/O shield. So let's get that done. Okay. All right, there we go. There's our I/O shield. That's going to go down here underneath where the fan is. And we're just going to clip that. There it goes. All right, so that's in. That's good to go. Let's see. At this point, I think we're okay to just mount the motherboard and go from there. I thought that this motherboard was going to line up with exactly the same holes that the old motherboard was. It doesn't require these 3 standoffs here. The new motherboard does not quite go that far, so it doesn't need this guy here, this guy here, this guy here. But I'm going to leave them in the case anyway, just because if I take them out and I try to set them aside, I'll wind up losing them. I have a tendency to do that. So, all right, so at this point, I think what we'll do here is we'll get the board. Okay, get the board here. And I'm going to just kind of loosely line it up as best I can. Okay, there it goes. Let me just double check. Nope, there we go. That was going to be a problem. One of the grounding straps for the HDMI port was bent down, which would have been a really interesting problem where I would have had to take apart the entire machine just because of that little tab. Okay, so that's there. That's in there. All right, so I've got that there. I'm going to take and secure this board down with just a single screw for right now. Just so that it's not going to come out of the case. when I tilt the case back up, if I need to, which I actually will need to probably get this CPU cable pulled a little tighter. There we go. All right, that's just really, really finger tight. Wouldn't take much to get that to come out of there, but it's down okay. It's fine. All right, so I got that one screw. Actually, I'm going to do 2 screws. Let me do 2. Let me do this one right here. Again, it's just like 2 finger tight. 2 fingers. And that's it. All right, so that puts that there. All right, so now I'm going to plug my CPU power in here. Sorry, you can't really see this too well, but okay. CPU power is in. Now I'm going to take the chassis and I'm going to go from the back here, and I'm going to just kind of wiggle this underneath the motherboard a little bit. It goes underneath the motherboard just a bit, but it should be fine. I'm just going to kind of wiggle it around a little bit. What I want to do is I want to keep the power cable away from here. If I decide to put a fan in here, I want to make sure that that's put away, out of the way, so I'm not pinching anything. So that's out of the way for now. Yep, that looks okay. Let me see if I can get that a little bit better. Yeah. All right, it's going to have to stay like that. Not perfect, but it should be good enough. So let me get back down here. All right, now I'm going to finish putting in the rest of the motherboard screws. And at that point, I will probably plug in the rear fan. The front fan I'm probably going to leave disconnected. There's no hard drive in here. There's no mechanical drive. And the only reason that front fan is really there is to just blow air across the mechanical drive to keep it cool. So I'm just going to leave that disconnected for now. Let's get this here. And oh, there's one here. Oh, I need to double check and see. Oh, I got to actually move that cable again. It's in my way. All right, so we're going to move it out of the way. There we go. I need to get in here for the one screw that's right in here. So I'm going to take this one here. And get that to line up. Okay, that's good. That one I'm going to tighten down because I don't want to have to revisit that right now. Okay. And let's see, there's one over here. Okay, so let me just double check. One here, one here, one here, one here. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7. So this one takes 7 screws. All right, so we're going to tighten down the rest of them. Just, just tight enough. Don't want to crank them. Just want to make sure that they're hand tight. There we go. That one there. And that one there. Everybody should be good to go. Yep, it feels like they're all there. Okay, so we got that. Next, I'm going to do the 24-pin cable, which is going to go right here. Okay, there it goes. It clipped on. Okay, let's make sure it's on there. Okay, then we're going to do the chassis fan here. I'll zip tie this in a little bit here. Just
Okay. All right, get that guy there. Then at some point, I will zip tie that and get that out of the way, but it's not a priority at the moment. Okay, now, let's see. All right, this is the audio cable. I'm gonna fish that up through here, and I should have just enough room that this will fit, slide under. There it goes, slides under the power supply. There we go. And make sure I get the right connector, because this is a dual purpose connector. It's a AC97 or an HD audio. All right, so HD audio in here. Okay, so that's the HD audio. That guy's in there. I can probably pull this cable back a little bit and just kind of see if I can get it to be out of the way of anything else that might eventually go in here. Let's see, slide that just a little bit. There we go. All right, so that's out of the way for right now. Okay, next, go underneath here. Here's our USB. And the USB comes here. It's got to kind of slide under the power supply as well. But, let's see here. Let me see if I can get it a little bit closer here. It's a little tough to get this angle. There we go. So the HD audio cable is slid just right underneath the power supply there. Same thing here. This is slid under. And sorry, my hand's in the way, but it has to be that way. And the USB connector, USB 2 connector, just goes right into here. It's going to be a very tight fit, assuming I can get it oriented correctly, which I may not have it oriented. Yeah, I didn't have it oriented correctly. That's why I was having trouble. Okay, so here we go. All right, the USB 2 is in. That's good to go. And the last thing at this point right now is the front panel wiring, which is under here somewhere. I gotta fish it back out. There we go. Okay, so here we go. All right, now. Okay, that should work. Let's see if I can get anything remotely like a reasonable angle on this. Probably not. But I am going to try. Okay. All right, just waiting for the camera to adjust a little bit. Okay, so here's what we got. Now I'm going to have to get my hand in here to do this. So I don't know that you're going to actually see much of anything, but there's the front panel header right there. And this thing's color coded without, and I don't remember, let's see what's plus and minus here. Okay, so the minus is the white wire. So let's put in the hard drive LED, which is on the, you may not be able to see this printing here. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. HD LED plus, and they go horizontal if I remember correctly. So the HD LED will go on these two. The power LED will go on these two. The power button will go here, and the reset switch will go down here. So let's pull up the hard drive LED. Okay, again, I'm sorry, I apologize, but that's tough for me to get everything in here. Okay, so HD LED positive on the outside. Sorry, folks, I'm trying, but it's difficult. Okay, so that one's there. Power LED, which is on two separate pins here, because back in the day, some of the The power LED connections were 2, and some of them were 3-pin. So it's still a remnant left over that these two are still separated. So let's see here. Get in here. And power LED. All right, the white one goes here. Nobody said this was easy sometimes. Okay, so that's there. And this one here. Okay, so those two are there. All right, we've got our reset switch, which goes on the bottom, and it doesn't matter which way this goes because it's just a button. And buttons are not polarized. LEDs are polarized, not buttons. All right, so that's that one there. And this is the power switch up here. Okay, so those should be all set. We've got all that. I've got the USB 2 connected up. Oh, I do have to pop out one of the, hang on a second here. Here we go. Just bear with me. Okay. I got to pop out one of the covers of the, let me show you here real quick. I got to pop one of these two out. And although the bottom one is probably easier to get out, the top one is probably a little bit more desirable because I want the USB ports to be up towards the top as much. I don't want them to be down. So I'm going to try and pop this guy here. There we go. There we go. That was easy. Okay, I'm going to get our little panel and go through here, like so, and get that out of the way. And what I think I want to do is I want to put, actually what I want to do here, hang on. Let's pop out the I'm gonna pop out the and of course it wants to be stubborn. I gotta pop out the cover. There we go. There's the cover. All right, so let's put the front panel back on. I need to get a rough idea of how this is going to sit in here. And it's going to just, yeah, it's going to just fit. Okay. It's going to just fit, and those screws, it's going to be one screw here, there's going to be one screw on the other side. So that's just going to fit. Yeah, okay. Got it. Okay. It's not a perfect fit, apparently. For some reason. It's not quite. Oh, there it goes. I got it that time. There it goes. Got it. Now it's flush. Okay. Now it's flush. All right, so we're going to put one screw here, one screw on the other side. And then we'll be good to go as far as that's concerned. Let me just double check what I did with. Okay. All right, so let's put one screw here. Okay. Now I'm going to flip this around. Okay. And I'm going to put a screw over here. Okay, so that's in. We're good. As you can see from the back here, up a little bit here. There's the cabling. There's the HD audio. There's the CPU power, which it has enough clearance. I'm just double checking to make sure nothing's pinching. It's good to go. Let me just double check here. Yeah, it should be good to go. I don't see any problem here. Not ideal, no. I understand that. I realize that, but it should be fine. Okay, so that's done. This cabling I'm just going to have to zip tie up and just let it sit. I'll do that later. All right. Okay, so looks like we're good. We're going to take this cabling here, and there's two places actually. This motherboard has two places where you can put in USB 3. There's one here in the front. There's one here all the way down here in the back here. Now it's labeled here USB 3, 5, and 6 and USB 3, 7, and 8. So I think what I'm probably going to wind up doing is I'm just going to go to this one here. Well, maybe not. No, maybe not, because what I probably want to do is I probably want to tuck as much of this cable into here as possible so that it's out of the way. So yeah, I'm going to go with this one right here. So we're just going to wiggle that bad boy in there. There we go. Then I'll be able to kind of just tie up the excess cable in here, just kind of tuck it away. So that's there, that's good. So this all should be good to go. Now, let's see, got that in, got that in. All right, we're good. The extra cabling, I'll take care of a little while later. I'm not going to do that right now, because what I'm more interested in right now is to make sure that it still posts. Okay, so let's see. I want to just double check the. Yeah, okay, we're good. HDMI is free. Okay, there's no grounding straps that are in the way of any of the connectors, so that's good. All right, so we're good there. Okay, let's plug in the VGA cable and make sure the power supply is off. Plug in the power cord. Okay, now let me double check. Let's see, everybody's in. That's there. That looks okay. That looks okay. Actually, I'm going to move that over. Let me get this moved back over where it should be so that it's out of the way of what I need to do. I think I'm going to, you know what, I may reroute that that CPU power. I don't know that I'm going to do it right now here on camera, but I think maybe I'm going to reroute it. I'm still not completely comfortable with it, but for right now, just to make sure that the system comes up, we're going to just leave it. Okay. All right, so let's get our monitor here. And let's come up this way. There we go. All right, so let's try power supply switch on. So far, so good. Let's try the power button at the top. There we go. Everything looks good. Let me turn the monitor on. That would probably help. There we go. And there we go. We have our post screen. So good. Nothing's wrong. Okay, I'm going to take a short break here, folks. I gotta go take care of a couple of things. All right, so here's where we're at the moment. We've got post. We're got everything inside the case. We're good to go there. Next step we're going to do here is I've already checked to see if there's a BIOS update for this motherboard. There is. We are going to update the BIOS first before we go to dealing with the Windows 10 installation. So let's just take a real quick look here and see. Yeah, P1-10. The latest version I have is, I think it's 1.6. Now let me plug in this USB thumb drive, which has the updated BIOS on it. Now it's going to take a moment. We're going to have to go into the advanced mode over here. There we go. Yeah, we're already on tool, instant flash. There it is. Yeah, it's 1.6. We're going to do the update first on the BIOS. Have the machine reset itself after the BIOS update. Then we'll go ahead and look at doing the Windows 10 installation here in just a minute. But let's go ahead and do this. Yes, we want to do this. Okay, so it will go through and it will do its thing. This should go fairly smoothly. I don't anticipate any problems. Always a good idea to make sure that the BIOS is the most recent one. When I went to go check on ASRock's site, they don't even have a 1.1, which the original BIOS is on this machine. They didn't even have the 1.1 listed. They started at 1.3, and there was a couple of updates to that through a number of months. I think the last one, the 1.6, was released, it looks like, in September. So just about a month ago. So once this gets finished, we will restart the machine. Make sure that it posts again, just to be on the safe side. And after that, then what we'll do is I'll restart the machine again. And then hopefully we will start doing the Windows 10 installation. We'll see how that goes. But we'll get there. Okay. I'm just going to hit OK. It's going to restart. Pulled out the drive for the moment because it also has my Windows 10 installation on it. I just want to make sure that it comes back normal. It will probably take a few minutes. There we go. There's the ASRock logo. There we go. Okay, so we are now at, as we see right here, we are now at 1.6, so we're good to go. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to plug this flash drive in, which has Windows 10 installation on it. I've already downloaded and created the USB thumb drive boot. I'm going to plug it into the USB 3.2, I think it was. Yes, 3.2 Gen 1. And we are going to restart this machine again. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the power off. There we go. Now, turn the power back on. And let's see what happens. It should boot from that USB drive. Let's see what we get. There we go. Okay, everything's right there. English US, that's what we want. I'm going to do install now. Okay, right at the moment, I'm not going to put a product key into this. I'll do that later. So we hit click do not have a product key. I'm going to be getting a product key for Windows 10 Pro. So that's what we're going to install. This particular USB drive is formatted with the 20H2 installation for Windows 10, so it should be the latest. There should not be any major or any real updates after we get this installed, but we'll check the machine after we get Windows 10 installed. We'll go to update, see if there's anything there, but I don't anticipate there really being much. So let's go ahead and hit next. You have to accept the license agreement. Yes. Okay, we're going to do custom install. I don't like to do just, it's not an upgrade. There's nothing on the drive. So we're going to do a custom install, unallocated space. We're just going to hit next, and it's going to go through its little thing. Hopefully, this is a 64 gigabyte USB flash drive. It's a 3.0, yeah, 3.0 USB flash drive. It should go relatively quickly. Shouldn't be anything we have to worry about here. We'll see how quickly this goes. I don't think it's going to take long. Yeah, we're moving right along. No problem. Doing well. Okay, so it's going to restart. Once it restarts, I'm going to yank out the flash drive. There we go. And then it should continue on doing the Windows 10 installation. It tries to figure out everything we got going on here. It may reboot before we get to the part of the installation where it starts asking you questions. We'll have to see. Okay, yeah, it's rebooting. There we go. Okay, here we go. Yes, we're doing United States. US keyboard, that's correct. No, we don't want a second layout. I don't have a network cable plugged into this, and I do not have a Wi-Fi card installed on here. So we're going to have, don't have internet. We're going to do continue with limited setup, because I'm going to make a local machine account. Okay, so for the lack of anything else, I think what we'll do here is, let's call this, let's call this streamer, because it may actually wind up doing that. Hit enter. No password for now. There we go. All right, and here's all the stuff that we're going to turn off. We're going to turn off everything on this screen except for location. We're going to turn this off here. This all goes away. That goes away. this is the way I tend to prefer to do a Windows 10 installation. Hit accept. We're going to now Cortana, not now. And there we go. And you just have to be patient. It will eventually get there. Yep, it's just about there. And there we go. We're all set. Default browser reset. That's interesting. Okay. Searching for a display driver. Yeah, it's trying to find a display driver, but it's not connected up to the internet at the moment. So there we are. We are set. Standard Windows 10 installation. And just out of curiosity, we're going to look through here. Now, it's obviously not going to do anything because I'm not hooked up to the internet. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to plug in a network cable. And 1 second here. The right spot. There we go. You will see that it will pop up with something here very shortly once it detects that there's a cable in. Okay. Let's go look at Device Manager real quick and see what it says here. The hardware's new enough that we're going to have to use the installation disk. Okay, well, we'll have to do that then. All right, let me pause here for a minute, because if you were paying attention, I actually have not hooked up the DVD drive yet. So I've got to do that now, and we'll go from there. Under the title of No Good Deed Goes Unpunished, I found out that that DVD drive that's in this machine is apparently having an issue. The door refuses to open. So I'm going to demonstrate to you one of the things that I like about this particular case. And that is, I'm going to change out the DVD drive this quickly. Unlock, lift out, pop out that guy right there. Actually, that's older than I thought it was. Here's a new one, which I happen to have laying around. Make sure I get it the right side up. There we go. Slide that in. Line it up. Get these little, there we go. Right there. Right there. That's how easy. That's how quickly you can change that out. And again, that's one of the things that I happen to like about this case. So let's plug in the power and the SATA connector into the board right over here. Let's see, make sure we get that oriented. There we go. Okay, so we're good there. Let's power back up. There we go, that's better. Let's get our little CD out. Remember what I said earlier about Murphy, okay? Anytime you're trying to do something
And I could edit this out if I wanted to, but I'm really not going to. I want you to see that you can run into these problems. So there we go. There's our CD in. Let's go back over to the monitor here. There we go. Should give us an indication at some point here. There we go. Just going to have it run the setup routine. There we go. Support CD. And we're not going to install Google Chrome or the toolbar. Drivers and software. At the moment, we're going to install the Intel LAN driver, because that's really the only one I need for the moment. Everything else I can get through Windows Update. So we're just going to do this real quick. It's going to install to the default location. And there we go. Finish. And without too much trouble, there we go. There's the pop-up. I'm going to close this at the moment. And it wanted us to, there we go. It wanted to do the Microsoft account sign up, which I'm not doing. I don't do that on my machines. So now we have we have a land indication, so we're good there. So we're going to go to settings. We're going to go to update and security. We're going to go and look for updates for the moment. And as you can see, we have a number of updates that have to be done. They should all they should all come in without too much trouble. There's already a cumulative update preview. We're probably not going to wind up bothering with that one right at the moment. While we're waiting for that to happen, I'm going to plug in my flash drive here. And what I want to do is I want to go into the flash drive. And what I want to do is I want to take Crystal Disk Mark and the Prime 95 and hardware monitor. We'll take those and copy them to the desktop. So I'll run them from there. Okay, so those are there. We encountered an error. Let's see. See if we hit retry and see what happens. There we go. Some more updates. Okay, good to go. Now I'm going to close this for the moment. I'm going to restart the machine. Yep, there's the display driver just got. Yep, the display driver is installing as we speak. So that's there. All right, so I'm going to go into here. And I'm going to go power. I'm actually going to do a shutdown because I want you to see how fast this machine is going to boot here. Okay, so now it's powered off. And now I'm going to hit the power button now. There we go. And remember to eject the CD, that would help. And there we go. We're good. All right, first thing I want to do, so I'm going to go here, Crystal Disk Mark. I want to run the software associated with that.
And all I'm going to do is I'm going to do the first set of tests here, the read and the write. I'm not going to do the rest of them just at the moment. I want to do a real quick test to see what we got. There we go. $22.99, that's pretty good. $29.92, I should say. We're doing the sequential, still doing the sequential read. Okay, there's the, do a pause. Now it's going to do the sequential write. We're going to see what those wind up being. There we go. Now, let's see here. Okay, Intel Graphics Command Center, that's been installed. That's good. All right, so there we are. $29.92 and almost $2100 here. That's certainly more than sufficient. All right, so there we go. Let me pull up hardware monitor. And what I want to do at this point now is I'm just going to do, no, we're not going to do the update right now. There we go. Apparently a new one was released. Okay, so there we go. Well, let's just take a real quick look and see what we got here. All right, fan speed is 1,000 RPM roughly. Let's see, Intel Comet Lake. Processor. Looking for, no, I don't see. I see utilization, but I don't see a temperature on here. Interesting. I guess I'll have to investigate why that is. That's a bit odd. I don't see a temperature thing here. Now maybe that's, well, let's go back into the folder. Let's bring this back up. Hit that. Let's do the update then, maybe. Maybe if the update will do that. Okay, I want the zip version. Okay. Interesting. Add in here. Okay, let's go into here. Go extract, extract all. And we'll just run it from the download folder. There we go. See if the newer version gives me what I'm looking for. Yep, there we go. There we go. Yep, had to update the hardware monitor. Okay, so here's where we're at the moment. 22, 21. So we're looking pretty good at the moment. What I'm going to do now is, let's close all of this other stuff out so it's too much clutter. I'm going to pull up Prime 95. And we're going to see, number torture test, 12 threads, that's correct. We're going to hit OK. And we're just going to let it go. And we're going to watch what happens to the processor itself. Now remember that this is an i5-10400. It's running with the stock cooler that came with it. So we're going to see what happens here. This test is going to run for, we're going to run this for roughly about 20 minutes just to see where we're at. And we'll go from there. Okay, I'm going to try and move the camera over a little bit. Let's see if I can get a better shot at the temperatures here.
Okay, there we go. So we're just going to let that run and see what happens.
Okay, we've been running roughly about 5-6 minutes. Okay. Okay, we just crossed 61, 62. Like I said, I want to run it for about 20 minutes. And I don't think we broke 65. Or did we? No, we got 265. Ah, one of the cores was 66. Most everything else is, yeah, 64, 65 max. We're looking at the max temperatures that are here. So I'm pretty much happy with this. Let it run a couple of more minutes just to make sure. But, I mean, this is going to be more than most people will ever do. I mean, this is just banging away at every core, at every thread, just 100% slammed to the wall. Most people will never do this. So we're looking good. I am quite happy with the results so far. Okay, two of the cores hit 66. Another 4, let's hit 65. One core 64. Okay, so there we go. That's doing quite well. Let's see where we're at. Yep, okay. We are at the 20-minute mark. Now I'm going to stop this and we're going to see how fast those temperatures drop. Let's go here and go to test, hit stop, and we're going to watch how fast those temperatures are going to start dropping. Okay, there we go. And it drops like a stone. There we go. So we're good. Yeah, should come down rather quickly. We're good. Just because I want to make a point that this is not going to be this is not going to be a gaming machine. It's not what this is meant for. Again, it can be a gaming machine if you add a video card to it, but the standalone graphics are not going to impress you with the performance. So let's run, hit the agree. Okay, and we're going to hit run. Now, as you can see, it's very herky-jerky. So, yeah, we're just not doing well. Let's hit the benchmark thing. There we go. And you're going to see that it's going to be pretty bad. Let's just, if I can show it to you real quick here. Hang on. I don't know if you can see it or not. There it goes. You're looking at, it can't even break 20 frames per second. So, no, it just broke it just a little bit. But yeah, most of the time it's struggling. So, again, this is not meant to be a gaming machine at all. So, in fact, I think we're just gonna abort this as it's speaking right now because it's not. Yeah, we're getting maximum frames 23.5, minimum frames 7. So
Yeah, this is not this is not going well, to say the least. It's not going well. So what I think I'm going to try to do here, yeah, see, we're just going to close that. And it's just, yeah, it's pretty bad. So, okay. So, like I said, prove my point. It's not a gaming machine by any stretch of the imagination. At least not for even this. You definitely need a graphics card for it. So, all right. So there we go, folks. We are pretty much set. I'll have some final thoughts here coming up shortly, but I think we're pretty much done as far as the system is concerned. Okay, so here we are, folks, at the end of the build. It went pretty good overall. Yes, we had a problem with the power supply, which I found before I actually started building. I found it before I even tore apart the old system, so that was good. I avoided that one. Had a spare power supply, so that was good. That was fine. The DVD drive was a problem, and I realize now why it was a problem. I originally thought that I had replaced the DVD drive in this case some time ago. I was under the impression that the DVD drive was 5 years or less. I couldn't have been further off the mark if I tried. Let me just real quick here get this in front of the camera. And right here, let's see if I can get it to focus. There it is. May of 2008. So this is a 12-year-old DVD drive. Lesson to be learned. You want to check your hardware, especially if it's older, to see how old it really is, and maybe replace it. So, those things notwithstanding, I think overall the build was pretty good. I was disappointed with the Heaven benchmark. I thought it would do a little bit better than it did, but no, it had a hard time struggling much above maybe 20 frames per second, even at peak. Might have hit 25 if lucky. So that was a little disappointing, but not totally unexpected. Again, I didn't build this to be a gaming machine in the first place. So add a graphics card to it, probably even something as simple as maybe a GTX-1660 Super, which I think the last time I checked they were going for $150. Probably slap that in there and it would probably be a lot better, at least reasonably better in the gaming arena. But again, that's not what this machine is for. Other things that, other conclusions, I'm just trying to think about it for a second. Well, you saw everything went together nicely on the bench. We put all the parts together. It posted the very first time, no issue. We got it into the case, made sure that it posted again, because you never know when you start hooking up stuff and hooking up cables, sometimes something might go wrong. But that all went fine. You saw the Windows 10 installation went quickly, smoothly, no issue. We did the Prime 95 test and monitored the CPU temperature. Never saw a temperature above 66 degrees Celsius, which for the stock cooler is quite good, really. I heard that the newer 10th gen Intel chips ran cooler than previous generation. It looks like that might be the case. So it'll be interesting to put the machine through some more stuff, use some more testing, so forth and so on. Just to get a feel for it. It's the first Intel system I've had in a decade, so I kind of have to try to get used to how this works. I'm used to AMD stuff. I've been doing AMD forever. And I'm much more familiar with it. I know that you have to sometimes be careful about memory compatibility. The Intel, from what I've led to believe, and so far seems to be true, you can stick pretty much any memory in an Intel system and it'll run. So we'll see.
Anything else? No, I think that's probably it at this point. I appreciate you folks sticking around this long. And hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have anything you want to comment about, I'll try to leave the comments open on this video. Let me know overall what you thought. Let me know what mistakes you think I made, because as I mentioned previously, it's like there's going to be a lot of people on the internet who would love to tell me what I did wrong, because hey, it's the internet. Anyway, thank you folks. Hopefully we'll see you again. But for right now, I think this is going to be the only build video that I'm going to do. Thank you very much. Have a good day.